Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. If you're passionate about rare finds and hidden gems in your pocket change, then you're in for a real treat today. In this video, we're diving deep into a tiny piece of American history that could be worth a small fortune, the 1981 Lincoln penny. That's right, the seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin could be the golden ticket in your collection. Make sure you watch until the end, because you might be holding on to something that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, let's rewind the clock for a moment and set the stage. The year was 1981. Ronald Reagan had just taken office as President of the United States. MTV was about to change pop culture forever. And while all of that was happening, the U.S. Mint in Denver was quietly striking millions of 1-cent coins bearing the now iconic image of Abraham Lincoln. These coins were never expected to be rare or valuable. After all, they were made for everyday use, tossed into pockets, piggy banks, and vending machines across the country. But what most people didn't realize at the time was that 1981 was a turning point in U.S. coin production. This was the final full year that Lincoln cents were struck using 95% copper before the transition to the cheaper zinc core coins in 1982. That detail alone already makes the 1981 penny special. But there's more to the story. Much more. Let's talk about the design. The obverse side of the penny features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This image has been in use since 1909, and it's one of the most iconic designs in all of American coinage. On the reverse, we see the image of the Lincoln Memorial, a structure that not only honors the 16th president but also contains tiny, intricate details like the barely visible statue of Lincoln inside, sitting between the pillars. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. Even though millions of 1981 pennies were minted, not all of them were created equal. While most were stamped and released into circulation, a very small number were minted with remarkable precision, flawless surfaces, and struck with such clarity and detail that they caught the attention of experienced collectors. These few coins, when preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, stand apart from the rest, and their value has skyrocketed over time. Even rarer still are the error coins from this year. A few 1981 Lincoln cents have been discovered with incredible minting errors, things like double dies, off-center strikes, and variations in the copper composition. These small mistakes, made during production, have turned otherwise common coins into rare, one-of-a-kind treasures. But even without an error, the 1981 Lincoln penny is a piece to watch, especially when it's graded by a professional coin service and stored in near-perfect condition. We're talking about coins that have never seen a pocket, a wallet, or even daylight until they were sealed in protective holders. Coins like that, bright red, coppery, unblemished, are the holy grail for serious collectors. Over the past few years, the coin collecting community has been buzzing with interest about this particular penny. Prices have been climbing, auction houses have taken notice, and coin grading services are giving high grades to a select few pieces from this year. Coin enthusiasts and investors alike are scrambling to get their hands on the highest quality 1981 Lincoln cents they can find. So you might be asking, why is a penny from 1981, of all years, gaining so much attention? Why is there a surge in demand now? It all comes down to a perfect storm of historical significance, limited supply in top-grade condition, and increasing awareness among collectors. As more people start to explore coin collecting, the demand for rare, older coins has never been higher. And coins that were once overlooked, like the 1981 penny, are now in the spotlight. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for: how much is this coin actually worth? If you happen to have a 1981 Lincoln penny in mint state, especially one graded MS67 or higher, and it's been perfectly preserved with flawless detail and beautiful red color, then you're sitting on something truly special. Because a coin like that, in today's market, has been known to sell for as much as $72,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin. $72,000. So the next time you're digging through your coin jar or cashing out that piggy bank, take a second look at your pennies. You just might be holding onto a rare piece of American history worth more than its weight in gold. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more deep dives into rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to discover the next big find. Top 2. We're diving into a story that starts with a simple, everyday object, something you've probably held in your hand 100 times without even thinking twice about it. We're talking about a 1-cent coin. Not just any penny though, this one is from the year 1980. It's a coin that's been passed from pocket to pocket, used to buy gum, candy, coffee, and tossed into jars, dropped into car cup holders, and maybe forgotten in a drawer somewhere. But here's the crazy part, some of these little 1980 Lincoln pennies could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, more than you'd ever expect from something that says 1 cent. So how does that happen? Let's find out. To understand why this coin could be so valuable today, let's rewind time. The year is 1980. The US is at a turning point. Inflation is soaring, Ronald Reagan is campaigning to become president, and technology is beginning to push its way into everyday life. But even while the world was changing fast, one thing remained familiar in everyone's hands: the humble Lincoln penny. And now, the Lincoln cent had already been around for over 70 years by this point. Designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the penny was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. On the front, we see Lincoln's profile, calm and thoughtful. Flip it over, and there it is, the Lincoln Memorial, etched in fine detail, with tiny columns and even a minuscule statue of Lincoln sitting inside. In 1980, the U.S. Mint struck these coins at several locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each coin got a little mint mark to tell where it came from, except the Philadelphia coins, which carried no mint mark at all. But here's where things start to get really interesting. The US was still making pennies out of mostly copper in 1980, 95% copper, in fact, with a little zinc mixed in. That would change just a couple of years later in 1982, when rising metal costs forced the mint to switch to a cheaper zinc core. So, the 1980 Lincoln penny holds a special place as one of the last full copper pennies, and collectors love that. But what makes the 1980 penny truly valuable isn't just the copper content or the historical context. It's the rarity of finding one in near-perfect condition, sharp details, bright color, uncirculated, no scratches or dullness. Most pennies from 1980 went straight into circulation. They were handled, dropped, scraped, and worn down by decades of use. But a small number, just a few, were never spent. They were preserved, protected, and held onto by collectors or simply forgotten in untouched rolls. And then, there's the world of mint errors. Sometimes, a coin leaves the mint with a flaw, maybe the die shifted, or the planchet was imperfect, or the strike doubled slightly. These rare defects make the coin unique. Collectors call these error coins, and they are highly sought after. A 1980 Lincoln penny with a dramatic error, especially in brilliant condition, can draw serious attention at auctions. There have been reports of off-center strikes, double die outbursts, and even coins with variations in their metal content. Each of these quirks can dramatically raise the value. But even without an error, the sheer scarcity of high-grade 1980 pennies makes them worth watching. In fact, professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have graded only a limited number of 1,980 pennies in top conditions like MS67 or higher. That kind of grade means the coin is virtually flawless, with strong luster and no visible marks under magnification. When one of those rare examples comes to light, it doesn't go unnoticed. Collectors and investors are always on the hunt. They know that finding a perfect 1980 Lincoln penny is like finding a needle in a haystack. And when one finally appears, its price at auction can be shocking. You may be wondering right now, do I have one? Could there be a little treasure hiding among the coins I've tossed in a jar or stashed in a drawer? It's entirely possible. And that's what makes this so exciting. Because we're not talking about ancient gold coins locked away in museums, we're talking about a penny. A regular penny from 1980 that you could still find in circulation today. So take a moment, go through those old jars, those dusty drawers, those forgotten piggy banks. Look for a shiny 1980 penny. Check the condition. Look closely for anything strange or unusual. If it looks nearly untouched, it might be worth a second opinion from a grading expert. And now, for the part you've been waiting for. The value. A 1980 Lincoln penny, in absolutely pristine condition, perfectly preserved and professionally graded at the highest levels, especially with a rare minting error, can be worth an incredible $75,000. Yes, that's right. $75,000. For a coin that once bought a gumball. So keep your eyes open, because that little piece of copper could be worth more than you ever imagined. Top 3, where we uncover the incredible stories hidden in plain sight right there in your pocket change. Today's episode is all about a penny. But not just any penny. We're talking about a coin that could look like the most ordinary piece of copper, yet carry an extraordinary secret. It's the 1966 Lincoln cent, an unassuming 1-cent piece from over half a century ago. You've probably seen one. You might even have one in a jar or tucked away in an old coin purse. But what if I told you that this little coin, which once bought a piece of candy, could now be worth a life-changing amount of money? Let's take a closer look at why the 1966 penny is making waves among collectors, and why some people are hunting through their old change for one that could be worth a small fortune. First, a bit of history. The mid-1960s were a turbulent time in America. The Vietnam War was in full swing, civil rights protests were sweeping across the country, and people were beginning to look at the world in a whole new way. Amid all that change, the U.S. Mint was quietly making some of its own changes, especially when it came to coin production. By 1966, the Mint had been struggling to meet public demand for coins. Just a year earlier, in 1965, they had removed silver from most coins and stopped putting mint marks on all coins in an effort to reduce coin hoarding. That's right, no mint marks at all in 1966. Whether your penny was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, they all looked the same. That alone makes it a unique year in the history of U.S. coinage, but there's more. The 1966 Lincoln penny was made mostly of copper, about 95%, with the rest being zinc. This was standard for the time, but it's important because of what would come later. By the early 1980s, the price of copper had risen so much that the composition of the penny had to be changed to a cheaper zinc core. So older, pure copper pennies like the 1966 version are already more valuable than face value, just based on the metal alone. However, what really gets collectors excited is not just the age or the metal, it's the condition, the rarity, and the possibility of something incredibly rare, a mint error. You see, in 1966, with the mint rushing to produce enough coins for circulation and experimenting with new techniques, a few unusual and rare pennies slipped through quality control. These coins might have off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet errors. Any of these mistakes make a coin unique, and in the world of numismatics, unique means valuable even without errors. A flawless 1966 Lincoln penny is not easy to find. Most of these coins were used daily, handled by millions of people, and exposed to decades of wear and tear. The average penny from 1966 is scratched, dull, and beat up. But a select few have survived in what collectors call mint state condition, almost perfect, with original shine and crisp detail, as if they had just left the mint yesterday. Now imagine you find one of these pristine examples. One that has been professionally graded by a top coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. If it has no blemishes, sharp detail, and full red color, its value can soar. But let's not forget about the errors. Some 1966 pennies show clear signs of a double die on Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Others might have been struck slightly off-center, giving them a crescent moon-like edge. A few have surfaced with strange planchet defects, small cracks, clipped edges, or even odd color due to metal mixture issues. These rare varieties, when combined with superb condition, create the kind of coin that serious collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. So what makes this coin so desirable? It's that combination of history, rarity, condition, and mystery. The fact that mint marks were removed that year makes it more difficult to trace exactly where the coin was made, adding another layer of intrigue. The fact that minting technology was still evolving means more chances for unique errors. And the fact that only a tiny number have survived in beautiful condition makes each high-grade example a true treasure. This is why collectors search tirelessly through their old jars, coin rolls, and family stashes, hoping to uncover a forgotten penny from 1966 that somehow escaped the wear and tear of time. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The value. If you happen to come across a 1966 Lincoln penny that's in flawless condition, graded at the highest levels, or featuring a rare mint error, then congratulations. You're not just holding a piece of history, you're holding a coin that could be worth a staggering $96,000. Yes, you heard that right. $96,000. All that value, wrapped in a single, tiny, copper coin. So next time you see a penny on the ground, don't walk past it. Take a closer look. Because that 1 cent might just be your lucky day. Top 4. We're looking at a coin that many people have overlooked for years, a coin so common, it's probably passed through your hands at some point in life without you ever knowing its true potential. It's a Lincoln 1-cent coin from the year 1970. Now, that might not sound too exciting at first. After all, pennies are everywhere. They're the lowest denomination in U.S. currency, often ignored, dropped, or tossed into jars. But here's the twist, some of these 1970 pennies are now worth more than some people's homes. That's not an exaggeration. And in just a few minutes, you'll understand why. Let's rewind the clock to 1970. It was the dawn of a new decade. The Vietnam War was still raging, the Beatles had just broken up, and Apollo 13 had captured the world's attention. But in the midst of global headlines and cultural shifts, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing something very special: millions of Lincoln pennies. Like every other year, the coin featured the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that first appeared in 1909, created by Victor David Brenner. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and over time, it became a true American icon. Flip the coin, and you see the reverse, the stately Lincoln Memorial, with intricate lines, tiny columns, and even a little statue of Lincoln tucked inside, an amazing detail that many people never even noticed. So what makes the 1970 Lincoln penny so different from all the rest? Well, first, it's the mints. In 1970, pennies were produced at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. And here's where things start to get interesting, because not all of these coins were created equally. Some of the most valuable 1970 pennies ever discovered were struck at the San Francisco Mint. These coins, labeled with that small S mint mark just below the date, were part of limited production runs. Many were made for collectors as proof coins, sharper, shinier, and more detailed than normal circulation coins. But even among those proofs, some turned out different, some had errors. One of the most famous is the 1970s small date Lincoln penny, and it's not just a collector's item. It's a holy grail. You see, in 1970, 2 different date styles were used at the San Francisco Mint, a small date and a large date. To the untrained eye, they look almost identical. But collectors know how to spot the difference, and they know that the small date version is far rarer, especially when combined with proof quality and certain striking details, like strong doubling on the coin's lettering. That's what brings us to the next point: doubling. Some 1970s pennies were struck in a way that created a double die, meaning the coin's design was imprinted twice slightly off-center. The result? A dramatic doubling of the date or lettering, most notably in the word liberty or the phrase, "In God We Trust." These mistakes were never meant to leave the mint, but a few slipped through. And those few are now worth their weight in gold. Then there's the matter of condition. If you're lucky enough to have a 1970 Lincoln penny, especially a rare variation like the small date, or a double die, and it's been preserved in mint condition, you've got something special. No scratches, no discoloration, full luster. That kind of coin, professionally graded, becomes a rare find among a sea of ordinary cents. And here's the kicker: most people don't even know these exist. That's why stories keep popping up of collectors finding ultra-rare 1970 pennies in old rolls, tucked away in grandpa's collection, or just sitting quietly in a forgotten coin jar. These coins weren't made of gold or silver. They weren't commemorative. They were just pennies. But certain versions, under the right circumstances, are now commanding jaw-dropping prices. So next time you're sorting through your change, don't ignore the pennies. Look closely, especially at the date, the mint mark, and the details. Does the 7 in 1970 appear high or low? Do the letters look doubled? Is the coin shiny and flawless, as if untouched by time? All of these could be clues that you're holding something extraordinary. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you have a rare 1970 Lincoln penny, particularly the 1970s small date proof with doubling, in pristine condition and graded by a top-tier coin service, you're not just holding a piece of copper, you could be holding a coin worth $88,000. That's right. $88,000, from 1 cent to a life-changing sum. That's the magic of coin collecting. Top 5. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, could be worth more than a brand new luxury car, a college education, or even a down payment on a house? Sounds impossible, right? But stick around, because today we're uncovering the shocking truth about a tiny piece of copper from 1975 that could be hiding a jaw-dropping secret. You might even have one in your change jar right now. Let's dive deep into the mysterious and fascinating world of the 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin that many people overlook every day, but collectors are quietly hunting with great determination now. Before we get into what makes this coin so valuable, let's take a quick trip back in time. The year was 1975. The Vietnam War had just ended. The mood across the United States was shifting. Technology was beginning to rise, fashion was changing, and American culture was entering a brand new phase. And during this time, the U.S. Mint was continuing the long-standing tradition of producing the iconic Lincoln cent, a coin first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The front of the penny, or the obverse side, features Lincoln's famous profile, thoughtful, strong, and timeless. It was designed by Victor David Brenner and has remained one of the most enduring images in American coinage. On the back of the coin, or the reverse side, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely, you can even spot the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting between the pillars, an incredible detail many people miss. But here's where things start to get interesting. In 1975, Lincoln pennies were produced in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver are marked with a small d below the date. San Francisco coins have an S, and Philadelphia coins had no mint mark that year. Millions of these coins were made. In fact, it might seem like there's nothing rare or special about them at all. But the truth is, a few incredibly rare and valuable versions of the 1975 penny exist, and they are worth far more than their face value. So, what turns a common coin into a collector's dream? It comes down to a combination of rarity, errors, and condition. Let's start with condition. Most pennies that were minted in 1975 were used in everyday life. They were tossed into pockets, dropped on sidewalks, spun across countertops, and handled countless times. Over the years, they became dull, scratched, and worn down. But a few coins were spared. Some were sealed away in original rolls, protected in proof sets, or simply never spent. These coins, especially those that are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, and classified as mint state, can be worth far more to collectors, especially if they're at the top of the grading scale, like MS67 or higher. Now let's talk about something even more exciting: errors. Yes, even the US Mint makes mistakes. And when it comes to coin collecting, errors can be pure gold. Some of the rare 1975 pennies have double die errors, where the design appears doubled on the coin, particularly noticeable in words like Liberty or the date. Others have off-center strikes, die cracks, or were even struck on the wrong type of planchet, meaning they were made on a blank intended for a different coin altogether. These rare mistakes were never meant to be released, but a few escaped the mint's quality control process. And those few coins are now some of the most hunted down and prized pieces in US coin collecting. But rarity and condition aren't the only factors. There's also the matter of color. You see, freshly minted copper pennies have a bright red hue. Over time, they can turn brown or lose their shine. But the highest valued 1975 pennies are those that have retained their original red luster and have not been handled, cleaned, or exposed to the elements. That vibrant copper color, combined with mint state condition and a rare error, can turn a simple penny into a collector's dream. Now imagine you stumble upon one of these rare 1975 pennies. Maybe it's in your change from the grocery store. Maybe it's in an old coin jar from your grandparents' house. Or maybe it's been sitting in your drawer for years, unnoticed. That one little coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to have one of these extremely rare 1975 Lincoln pennies, especially one with a unique error, in mint state condition, and possibly even with its original red color intact, it could be worth a truly staggering amount. That single 1-cent coin could be valued at $82,000. Yes, you heard that right. $82,000 for a penny. So the next time you're counting your change or sorting through old coins, pay close attention. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Look for doubling or any signs of an error. Because you never know, the coin that seems so small and insignificant could actually be the rare find that changes everything. Thanks for joining us today, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more amazing stories from the world of rare coins. There's treasure everywhere, you just have to know what to look for. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep your eyes on those pennies. One of them might just be your lucky one.